Hello, and welcome to another episode of Disrupt Your Now, the show for ready, the show for entrepreneurs who are ready to shake things up. And I'm going to tell y'all ahead of time, like I have for the past few weeks, something's going on with my internet. It only happens when I'm going live, but every once in a while it'll spin. So please ignore it. If it happens tonight, I'll be right back. Um, my guest tonight is my great friend, Annette Whittenberger. I'm so excited to have you, Annette. Look, y'all, Annette is such an inspiration. She's like a Renaissance woman. She is retired military and she has taken the problems that she had in life and has accidentally turned them into a business. And she literally is helping people all over the world right now. So, Annette, welcome to the show, baby. It's
Thank
so
you
good to
so
see you.
thank you so much, Lisa. I love Renaissance woman.
You are.
I I love that. It's funny because when we work on things that help us and help others, we don't give ourselves enough credit, right? We're just trying to
Yes,
deal with life, so we just do what we have to do without thinking about anything else. So
that's right. We're like, oh, this isn't a big deal.
right.
But I want you to tell the audience because some will be familiar with you, like our buddy Richard Kaufman, who's on here. And Richard, we love you too. So people like Richard know who you are and they know how amazing you are. But a lot of our listeners are not going to be familiar with you. So tell them about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I retired in 2016, and it
From the
was
Army, for
from
people
the
that don't
army.
know. Yeah.
I retired from the army in 2016, and it was how do I put this? It was a lot sooner than I had anticipated. I didn't get picked up for promotion, and it really crushed my soul. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I felt like such a failure. I felt like, who am I out of this uniform? I didn't know what else to be. And so I really hit rock bottom after that. In my mind, I had a plan. I was like, okay, I'll work in the civilian sector. I'll do something. I thought I had a plan, but it really hit me hard. So for 6 months to a year, my husband kept asking me, "You gonna work on a resume?" And I was like, you know what? I'll do it when I do it. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't deal with life because the military, unfortunately, they didn't prepare you mentally for
Yes.
what
Yes.
happens next. You
Hmm.
know. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, it's okay. You can bring your babies on if you want to. And I know that you know this, but I want people in the audience to know what Annette went through is very common. My husband's retired military, 26 years. And even though it was 30 years ago for us, same thing that you think you're ready. And then it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So,
Yeah, it's not. Some people, I have some friends that are like, I can't wait to retire. I
yeah.
can't wait. I am so ready. But a lot of us are like, oh, who the heck am I when I'm not wearing this? I'm no longer by rank. I'm no my title. It's like it's all gone. So during my transition process that I had to go through on my own, I I had to vent. I had to let it out, and it was difficult. I didn't know where else to turn. And back then, Facebook was just so huge on just
Yeah.
putting yourself out there. But I had a lot of people who would ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you talking to a therapist? Like, why are you putting yourself on Facebook? And so I kind of retreated, and then I said, you know
Yeah.
what, screw it. And this is when I came up with the wild ride called life. I decided I'm going to make a blog. I don't care anymore. Like I need to release this energy and maybe I can help other people. So from then, it turned in from the blog to writing a book to speaking to podcast to independent music artist. Like it sounds like a crazy amount of things. Even my husband's like, you're all over the place. But
But you're not.
but
It's all combined.
right in my mind, it all comes back to mental health.
Yes.
And that's what I try to tell people is you don't have to stick with one thing. Like if you want to do whatever sets your soul on fire, go after that. And then it'll come to you, And so
Yeah.
that's what I
I
did.
totally, totally agree with you there, Annette. So many people get caught up in, I gotta, I have to specialize in this, that, and the other. And I get it. I understand
Right.
what people mean. But when you're doing something different than what everybody else is doing. You're not in a traditional business, and you need to go where your heart leads you and how it can help other people. And I totally get it, because me, I'm like web developer, marketing, branding, podcaster, author, and speaker, but
Yeah.
it's all fun.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing, because you're always going to have someone that's like, you can't do everything. You have
Yeah,
to find a niche. You have to do.
yeah,
And I get it, because over the past, almost 7 years, I've had all the negative, no, not negativity, just the feedback. And
yeah,
so I had to figure out, you know what? I can either listen to them and let it stop me, or I could figure out a way. And
right,
then you find your people, like you understand, and you just have to find your circle of who's going to support you, who can help you, and who can give you positive feedback on how you can make that happen. And so that's what
right.
I had to learn how to do that. I had to step away from um imposter syndrome. I know Richard talks
Mhm.
about that, and just comparing yourself to other people, and how come I'm not making 6 figures in a month. And you have to figure out, why are you doing this? Is it for the money, or is it
Yeah,
to serve? It just depends. And no answer is wrong. It's just what it means to you.
that's right. And first of all, one of the biggest problems that I see with entrepreneurs is that they do what everybody else tells them to do, or
Mhm.
they do what they see everybody else is doing. And they may be making 6 figures a
Mhm.
month, and some of them may be perfectly happy
Mhm.
now and 10 years from now.
Mhm.
But too many people do that. And then they look around, they go, I have all the money in the world, I have everything I want, but I'm still not happy.
Mhm.
And why am I not happy? Well, because you built a business that somebody else wanted
Mhm.
rather than what you wanted. And it's not that you have to choose between money and you just have to figure out, you have to um braille blaze your own trail.
Right.
You braille your own trail. You have to blaze your own trail.
Mhm.
Everybody can't do that. Very few people can.
Mhm.
Those people have to be more structured. And I think it's really cool that you, as a military officer, who are used to that regimented life, but inside of you is this free spirit that's like, I'm going to do this and that. And, you know,
I laugh because my husband and I are completely different people. He's so military, by the book, just the rules, all this. And then here's me like, I don't know, whatever.
I know that's
I
been
don't
my
know how
husband and I are.
I don't know how I survived the army life, but you just have to remember who you are. And that's what we forget. Is I forgot who I was during my time in. And then when I came out, I was like, oh God, I need to find that again. You
Yeah.
know, but in my late 40s, I have to just
Yeah.
figure
Well,
out.
and I know one of the things that Tom said to me over and over and over, if I had a penny for every time he said this, I would be so rich, is I used to feel like what I did made a difference.
Mm,
And now it's just, now we owned businesses. We started two businesses together and sold them. So he did things that were financially fulfilling, but he still felt empty. He felt
mm,
like what he did didn't make a difference in the world in some way or in people's lives. So to me, that is such a common um, hurdle that people, when they come out of the military, feel, because yeah, I've heard so many people say that.
mhm. No, you're right. And that's the thing. A lot of when I was asked, okay, now that you're out, who is Annette? I literally couldn't answer that question
Yeah,
because I was Major Whittenberger for so long, and then I was a vet, and now I'm a military spouse
yeah.
and no longer a
Huge
soldier.
difference
It is very, it's
in the
different.
military, active duty, and then connection goes again. When that spins like that, can you still hear me, or are you totally losing
I
me?
can't.
Damn it! Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
Anyway,
This is what
so
happens.
it's just driving me crazy because it's been happening for a month or two. No matter what computer I use, whatever. Um, I forgot what I was saying. There goes my ADD. So I'm going to let you talk, Annette.
um, I think I have ADHD. It's not diagnosed, but I swear.
We both do. We both do.
I swear, maybe it's my age, but No, and so I think that's and I'm still going through that. I still part of being an entrepreneur or an influencer or whoever when you're on social media is sometimes you need to take a break. And we talked about that. I
Yeah.
haven't done anything for almost 2 years. And at first I felt so guilty, but then I thought, if I don't do this and take care of myself, I'm not going to make it. And we have to be okay with that. And we don't have to have permission from anybody. Like, this is we need to remember that we need to stop putting everybody else first. And
Exactly.
we, especially in our space, in the mental health space, we want to take care of people so bad, and that's
Yeah.
just like, that's what drives us. But then we forget about ourselves, and I had to do that. So I had to take a step back, and I kept in touch with whoever, but we have to remember to take care of ourselves. And it's so hard because we're always trying to catch up with the newest thing, and we're always reading up on Facebook or whatever social media, and we just get so caught up.
Yeah,
And
you could get caught up in that. I got to do this because everybody else is doing it. And the irony is that's 180 degrees from why we're doing what we're doing in the first place. And you and I are so on the same page with that, because I have done hardly nothing on social media since like last November. I even didn't do my show for a couple of months. And for people that don't know it, this isn't all of the reason, but part of the reason is because my husband was starting to have memory problems, and we'd already gone through this with his father and my mother. And so, we were like standing on a train track, watching the train coming to us. And you go, you know what? I got to have a break. I was still working, and I'm sure you were still working, but you were not in the public eye. And that's the beauty of what you do and I do. We can make it work for us.
yes.
We don't want to let the people down who are out there and rely on us, but at the same time, we don't owe people anything. And that probably sounds terrible.
No, you are so right, because I'm reading Christopher
I
McPhee's
know, our buddy
comments,
Chris
and
McPhee.
him and I had a discussion a few months ago about that too. He's working on something else, and we were just talking about how we need to take a step back and refocus and do what we want to do. And it's hard because you're worried about the followers, and am I going to disappoint anybody, and are they going to keep following me, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
It's so hard. There's so much stress, but in the end, if all that goes away, are we still going to be happy? And that's what we have to remember, and
And by you doing that, you're a role model to other people. I'm going to tell Smurf, Chris. So Chris says, Nat, I love your glasses. Smurf, I told her she looks like Elton John with hair and in a woman's body. I love them. They
okay.
look awesome.
See, and I used to be afraid, because I'd be like, oh, are people going to think I'm crazy? My son, he's like, why do you always have all those like 1950s looking glasses? Because I think they're fun. If I'm going to wear bifocals, they're going to be cool bifocals.
That's right. You're like Cartman in South Park. I do what I want.
I forgot about that. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what you're doing in your business, though. So you started out, you were no, Smurf, you have some cool glasses.
And
I've
he
seen
sure
your white
does.
ones. Smurf says, I want some cool glasses too. Well, I know you have those really cool white ones.
I love those.
Oh, don't they look good?
Yes.
And for the audience out there, those of y'all who don't know Smurf, Annette and I were talking earlier about her getting out of the military, and all of a sudden she's a military spouse and not a military service member, active duty. Smurf did the same.
Yep.
And so he's a man coming out, and he's the military spouse who's the man. And that's even kind of weirder, because people are like, well, with women,
sure.
people are like, oh, is your husband in the military
Yes.
or whatever? And then Smurf comes out and he's like, yeah, so that's
right.
a weird thing. I need to have Smurf back on to talk about that.
Yes, no, for sure. And I love, I just love Chris. We got to catch
Yeah.
up, Chris. But yes.
Well, I was going to say, though, and I'm sorry I got totally off track because it was shit. Sorry, there I go again. And it's my show, so I can say shit if I
yes, you
want to.
can.
So what I was going to say though, I want to talk about what you do though, because like you said, your husband and other people probably feel like, oh my God, you're all over the place. Pick a thing and do it. But so you started out just doing your blog for your own self,
Mm-hmm.
basically like an online journal. You were not
Mm-hmm.
trying to build a business,
Mm-hmm.
but then you created such a following, or the following happened. You didn't create them; it just happened.
Right.
So it evolved into a business, and that evolved into podcasting. So your show, The Truths We Hide, which is amazing. Y'all find her podcast, The Truths We Hide, and she has people on there who talk about the struggles that they've gone through in life, things that we don't talk about because we hide them. But so you have the blog, you have the podcast, you wrote the book, The Wall Between Two Lives, right? Then that's the name
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
You are an independent music artist and you write your own stuff, but I think you also like write songs for other people about their life.
That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Right.
But so
Mhm.
my point with all that, and then I'm gonna let you talk, I promise.
No, it's
My
okay.
point with all of that is all of those things go together like this, Annette.
Mhm.
It's like they just fit together hand in glove. So when somebody says you need to pick a thing, you are picking a thing. It's all about mental health, and your followers' mental health. It's just that you're meeting people in the way that they need to be met. Some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like music.
No, you're absolutely right, because in the beginning I didn't know. I was trying to test it out, but then when I received messages through like Instagram or through my website with people thanking me for just sharing, I knew. I was like, okay, this is for them. This isn't about the following. It's whoever is meant to be there will be there, and if I can help, at least one person, then that's exactly I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
With when I decided to go to music school, that was completely out of
I was like, whoa, what? I thought it was so cool though.
completely out of the norm. My husband again was like, "What?" And I said, "Trust me, trust the process. There is a method to my madness. If I
Yeah.
don't get accepted, then it wasn't meant to be. But if I do get accepted, I'm doing it." It was hard. It was
So can
hard.
you
I
share with us what got you started down that road with
Yes.
music?
So what had happened was Donnell Johns had posted in his Facebook group about the VRAP, Veterans Ready Assistance Program. I have to get, I forgot it. It's
Yeah.
VRRAP. The VRAP is a program for veterans to find, you can pick a school and that is within the program, and you get up to 12 months worth of schooling for free. So I applied, and it was funny because I read through 80 pages of all these amazing programs, but the two that stuck out to me and my 16-year-old self was screaming was music school. And I was like, because when I was in high school, this is just a backstory. I used to sing and I used to do all this plays and act and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so that of course got away from me. But so I picked this music school. I had to, in my mind, I thought, okay, music and mental health, healing through music. I'm going
Yes,
to
for
figure
sure.
out how to do this.
Yeah.
We all listen to something. Some people do not listen to music at all, but for those of us who does, I know the feeling that we have when we do. And
Mhm.
so that's what I did. I decided I'm going to figure this out. So I'm a songwriter, and so I do write. I did write and produce two songs that haven't been released yet with my daughter. And then I want to in the future write for other people that are just normal everyday to day people who write a journal, who want to express themselves in other ways, and I want to create music for them. So that's the long story of why I decided to do it. What I'm going to do
I
now.
love that though. That is so cool, Lynette. I remember when you first announced it, I was like, what? I'm jealous.
It was hard as hell. I cried. I had all nighters. It was hard.
So tell us what was so hard about it.
There's a program that we use. It's called a digital audio workstation, and
Okay.
for me, it's Logic Pro. I know this all sounds foreign because I had no idea what the hell it was. But in that program, you pick instruments and you create music and you sing into it. And
Oh,
that stuff was hard for me because I didn't know how to write songs. I'm not a pro at it, but
yeah.
who the hell? I mean, it has to be a certain number of words. It has to rhyme a certain way. It just, there's so much to it. And then we had to research and create our own portfolio, pick an artist name, all these things to learn how to be independent so that
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on, how do I put this without sounding crazy? It would be awesome to sign with a record label, of course,
Hmm.
but we can learn how to do it ourselves without all the stressors of what if I don't get picked up. And so that's what I
And
learned.
I have relatives and friends in the music industry. It's like being an author. Okay, just because you get picked up, that doesn't mean that you're going to make a lot of money. You lose control over your artistic stuff
Yes,
and blah 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 blah. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like, yeah, with being an author, do you go traditional and have them own the rights to your book, or do you go independent? And so, yes,
yeah.
it was so much, and I was like, what am I doing?
Hmm.
How am I going to make this happen? This is crazy. And so, yeah, that's the long story of what had happened was, like Chris said.
So you and your daughter, y'all recorded some songs, the two songs together,
Yeah,
or you wrote them together, or
we wrote them together and she sang them.
oh, awesome. How old
Yeah.
is she now? She graduated college?
Yeah, she's in her master's program. She's
Oh God,
22.
that's so hard to believe.
I know. She's 22 years old. Just
What is she studying? I know I'm off track, but
Oh no, criminal justice. She wants to be FBI.
oh, cool. That's awesome. So I'll have to look for her on my true crime shows.
Right? Oh, we love that's it all started from Criminal Minds. Thank you for that
Oh,
show because
oh
that's
yeah,
how it
yeah.
happened.
My cousins and sisters and I are always watching that stuff. Sorry, y'all, off track again. But so okay, Annette, so you took these few months off or a year or two
Yes.
because part of the time you were doing the school thing, right?
Yes.
Wasn't that part of that 2 years?
Yes. For 6 months, I did the school thing, and then
Okay.
the other part was health stuff.
Yeah, and then once you got through the school thing, you're like, "Oh my God, you're exhausted." And so physically and mentally you're exhausted from all the pressure and everything of that, but then you also had some other health issues that you wanted to deal with. So you made the conscious decision to take a step back and
Yes.
hit the pause button for a little bit.
I did. I had to because I didn't want to half-ass anything. I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't like, and if you don't have that passion for it, you're not loving it, then
Yeah,
don't do it because then you're
right.
just like, oh, whatever. And I didn't want
E-
to do that.
Yeah, and I want to talk about to people out there, it's not, we feel guilty. We
Hmm.
feel like I should be doing this and everybody else is doing that, blah, blah, blah. It's not just about that. It's about your body and your mind saying, hello, you need to cut yourself some slack. And the thing is, if you don't do it when your body and mind are telling you, you're going to do it. You're going to do it later. You either need to listen and heed that internal advice or it'll be worse later. Don't you think?
Yes. No, absolutely. I mean, it'll just break you. And you don't how am I going to practice what I preach if I'm telling other people to take care of themselves and I'm not? I had to be reminded of that quite a few times. How are you going to help other people if you can't help yourself? Yes,
Exactly.
Chris, it's okay to take a break. Absolutely. I mean, after I got over the guilt and then I ended up in the hospital, I was like, that's it. This is my sign.
Yeah.
It's time to, and your people will be there when you come
And
back.
it's part of your journey. It's
Hmm.
part of your story. So,
Yep.
like you said, if you just keep pushing it, you're not feeling it, you're sick and everything, but you just keep pushing it until you make yourself even sicker or you have a nervous breakdown, then what kind of role model and mentor have you been for the people who rely on you? But now that you've taken that break, you come back with different stories and different lessons
Right.
for those people to learn even more from.
Right. No, you're right. And I really do believe that, God puts us in these places for different reasons. And I'm just grateful to still be here. And Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Well, and the thing, your whole journey with this started from a mental health aspect. So, like you said, practice what you preach. So, not only practice what you preach, but you already know you need to take care of yourself. You
Right.
already know what can happen if you don't, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to just remember it's hard. It's hard sometimes, and I think that's okay. It doesn't, just because I've been through all this doesn't mean okay, I'm perfect now.
No.
Nope, I'm still gonna have my days, and that's okay to have your days. So it's like I said before, your people that are meant to be there will be there. Chris has
Yeah.
been there, even though we've been off, social media for a long time. You're still here. Like those are our people, and that's who we have to remember.
And it's funny because we were both off, so we
Yep.
didn't even know the other one was, you know?
But we came back. Like
That's
when it
right.
was time and when
Yeah.
it was a good time for both of us, we came
Yeah.
back.
That's right.
So, and that's how I think we have to look at it now. And if they don't come back, then it's okay.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, it's like personal relationships.
Yep.
Everybody isn't supposed to be married to the same person or dating the same person. And you don't need, if you're looking at it strictly from a money angle. So let's
Mhm.
be very pragmatic. Let's just look at it from a money angle like most people do. You don't need that many followers. You don't need that many people. You
Right.
don't need millions and millions and millions. That's just an ego thing.
Hmm.
Because, okay, fine, it might get you a contract with some company that wants to get you to do whatever, but does it give you freedom? Does it really make you more money? And whereas if you have a core, very loyal following who are really following you because they identify with you and you give them the message that they need, those people are never going anywhere.
You're right. It is. It's about the impact that you make, because if you lose those followers, then what do you
Mhm.
have? You have to remember who are you, and what do you have, and what
Right.
impression did you make, or what legacy did you leave?
Yeah.
So and it's hard because social media makes it that way. You have to have these many following to get paid, or to make an impact. When you don't, because if that goes away, and that's what we have to think about that. And it's hard because this is
Yeah.
the world of social media, and it makes you feel like, oh my god, I have to
It's
you know
very, very hard on your mental health. And so
yes.
we're adults. I'm 61. Yeah, I'm still 61. I couldn't remember. I'm 61. And if I look at it too much, I will be like, oh my God, I should be
Yeah.
doing whatever. Think about the kids out there.
Right.
I'm so thankful that I don't have kids now. I'm so thankful because I can't even imagine, the effect on them. It was bad enough when I was growing up, but at least you go home and you can escape from all the whatever. They never have an escape.
Right.
So, but we as adults can make it just as bad for ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With the when we compare ourselves, you're right. It's just
Yeah.
we get so overwhelmed, like, oh my god, we have to do the next best thing, chase the next best thing, and it's
Mhm.
it's it's just too much. So then, yeah, I have to come back down to earth and remember, why am I doing what I do?
Yeah. Well, and if you have a million followers in that, the vast majority of them are not real followers anyway. They're just people that started following. But you do one thing that people look at as negative, and then they're like, man, they all go run away. And it's like, no, you don't need, why do you need that? You don't need that stress.
Right. No, you're right. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And just it all comes back to remembering your why.
Yeah. So I know what your why is, and you know what, do you want to, can you voice it to the audience who's not familiar with you?
It's because I understand how it is to live with anxiety and depression and PTSD and suicide attempts and all that, the ugly stigmas that are out there. My why is to help others realize that it's okay not to be okay. And I know that sounds
Yeah.
like a cliche, but it's true. Like, I've been through it too. I'm still here for a reason, God willing. I want to help other people remain here as well. And I mean, I have two adult children now, 20 and 22. What legacy am I going to leave for them? How do I want them to see life? If
Yeah.
I'm not okay, then they're going to see that that's not good, you know, and I don't, they've already seen the ugly parts. I want them to see the
Mhm.
good parts now. And so I have to continue to um, communicate. And that's the one thing that we have lost is communicating, because everybody's always on their phones. And I'm guilty of it too. So I have to
Mhm.
remember, you know, let's talk about it. Why are you so mad? Or I don't feel good because I'm sad right now and I just need a moment. We need to remember to do that, because we don't. I grew up, I know this is a long answer. I grew up not voicing my emotions
Yeah.
or my feelings, you know, and so I didn't know how to do that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I lost myself when I got out, was like, oh my God, I have to talk about what's wrong, because I'm not going to make it. Like, I don't know how to do this. And so we have to teach other people we need to communicate more openly, not through text all the time, even though a lot of us do that. But yeah, that's my long answer. I just want to share that with the world. Like, I'm here, you know, and I want to help you remain here as well.
And the thing is, Annette, every person that you help, whether indirectly or directly, and by indirectly, I mean maybe you don't even know it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, that literally ripples out to help other people around them now and to future generations. So you're not going to even know, you are not going to even know how many people you have helped and how much you have helped them. You won't ever know, because most of the time people don't talk about things like that. If somebody doesn't commit suicide, they don't go around and go, "Yeah, I was going to commit suicide, but I didn't because of Annette." You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And it's like you're not going to ever know, but that's also the beauty of it, that it ripples out for generations and generations. And I can say that very personally from the flip side of that, because my grandfather killed himself when I was 5, and 3 years later my grandmother tried to. So I know as a child, looking at your loved ones and feeling like, oh, we weren't good enough. I mean, this is what I don't know what I was thinking, but I imagine, even if I wasn't consciously, I'm not good enough for you to stick around. You know, we're not worth it. And then that works on your self value and all that. And I'm sure that, you know, a suicide affects 150 people on average pretty much right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
because of friends, family, community, school, church, and everything. But then it goes out even further. Um, so sorry, I'm getting off track, but the work that you're doing is so, so important.
I appreciate that. No, you're right. With everything that you said, it's just it's heartbreaking every time we lose somebody, whether we know them or not. It's like, man, what could we have done? We have so many resources, but what could we have done? And it really takes a toll on you. So that's why I think we continue to do what we can to help
And
those that we won't even know that we're helping.
yeah,
Mm.
my sister is a teacher, and it is so sad. It seems like every month or so they lose a child, somebody, whether they're in their class or somebody in their school system, they lose somebody to either suicide or accidental overdose or whatever. And I mean, when I was growing up, we lost, you know, a couple of classmates, people that we grew up with, like to car accidents and
Hmm.
stuff. But and that had a tremendous effect on, you know, the kids in the community. But I cannot even imagine. So you have all the kids, everything that's going on with them and their parents and everything, and then you've got the people like the teachers who are trying to support them, and you're there for all of them in one way or another.
Hmm. I'm gonna try.
Well, you have been, and you are, But as you said, rightly so, you took a break for your own mental health so that you could continue to be there for them. And I'm laughing at Smurf because he said he's on a Facebook diet right now. I am too, Smurf. Really, the only thing I've been posting on there is my show, and that goes on automatically. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Fingers in my ears, covering my eyes. I'm just like, not going to look. And I've been on Instagram like, actually, I think maybe the last post I did was mine and Tom's anniversary, November 14th. I'm just like, I can't take it right now. I need to, think about my own life and my husband and everything and my clients, but
Right.
not worry about the world around me that, whether somebody likes it or not or
Right.
wants to follow me.
Right.
So what's your next step, Annette?
Well, I'm going to slowly get back into podcast. In the podcast, I want to do that, and I want to release the songs and go from there. I don't want to feel pressured, so I'm just going to take my time.
Yeah.
And it'll come.
And do whatever, whichever. I personally don't think. Okay, I'm going to speak for me. If it's me, I can't be like, Monday, I'm going to get up and write a blog post and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Because I'll tell you what, if I do that, that's the quickest way for me not to do it.
Right.
Then my brain goes into revolt. It's like, oh, hell no, you're not. So I think you're at a point that you should do. Just lost my signal. Sorry. I was going to say, I think that you're at a point that you should get up and do whatever you feel like doing. If that's writing a blog post, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's reading a book, that's good. Or jotting down a few ideas for songs.
Right.
And as far as the show, I've only been mostly scheduling it a week out now, even though I'm doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule it mostly a week out, sometimes 2 and 3, depending on the person, because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to feel like I have to do it because I started doing it because I wanted to do it.
Yes.
And that's what you were doing.
Yes. That's exactly it. I think you and I we've gotten to this stage, in our life where we don't want to have to. We want to. And I think that's okay. I have had people reach out to me to be on the podcast. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to start again until this time. Yeah. And I have to be firm about that. I don't want to have to do something just because they want to do it. I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm just saying that that's just how it has to be right now, because people will take advantage or they won't consider your time. And then there's a boundary. You have to put boundaries. I wasn't doing boundaries before. I was doing 2 shows a week and I was like, oh my God. And
and speaking and taking your courses.
And when we are our own editors and doing all the background stuff, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So
it is. Yeah. And I know people go, oh, get an editor, do this and do that. But you know what? That's also part of my enjoyment of doing it.
Yes. I like
doing it. I don't want to. You can hire people to do it. I don't want to.
Right.
Because I enjoy the process.
Right.
So therefore, I'm going to do it my way. You do it your way and shut up.
And exactly. I like learning about it. I've learned so much about how to do it myself. And I think that's what I enjoy is I want to learn how to do it, like build my own website or whatever the case is. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. We're all different people. And so it's okay if you want to do that. It's a lot.
And the irony is the fact that you can say, I don't want to do that is totally like what most people would be like, oh my God, I cannot imagine being able to be at a point in my life where I say, I don't want to do that. Well, that's a real blessing to be able to be at that point.
You are absolutely right. I've done what others told me to do for so many years. So now I want to be able to say, I don't have to do that. Yeah. And my husband makes fun of me. He's like, oh man, that must be how retired life is. I was like,
you're like, well, I have my pension plus you're still working.
You'll get there one day too when you decide to leave.
That's
But
right. How long has he been in?
oh, 27 years.
Wow.
And that's another thing too. I'll bring this up. He'll probably be upset, but he can retire now, but he's not mentally ready.
Yeah.
And
There's no reason for him to be. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're listening, there's no reason for you to be upset because, I mean, Tom retired when he was 20 and 26 years, but he was not ready, but he could see the writing on the wall with all the budget cuts and everything. Then this was 1990. So he knew he wouldn't get picked up next time. And we had babies. Let's see, Tom was 43 when he retired, but we had our first baby when he was 41, and then our second when he was 43. And so, he was at an age when people 20 years younger are doing that. So he would have loved to have stayed in. But
yeah,
so for your husband, if you don't have to get out and you aren't ready, then just don't.
he's not going to yet. He's going to do another couple of years, and
Yeah.
by then he'll have to be ready. But he's
Yeah.
not ready now, and it's like I get it. So do what you got to do because
One
it's
of our
hard.
kids' godfather was in 35 years. Now I don't know if hardly anybody does that anymore,
I
but
don't.
except for very, very, very senior officers. But yeah, 35 years.
He could do that, but he doesn't want to be a general officer. So
Yeah. Well, because when you get to that level, it's like anything else. Everything is so bureaucratic and
right.
so political. So whether you're in a big corporation or you're in the military or you're in the government, they're all different in ways, but they're also very similar. That
Absolutely.
and that you start doing all the stuff that you didn't want to have to do. All the things that you love about it are now gone and you're doing the drudgery stuff.
Yeah. And then it's not fun anymore. And
Yeah.
I just speak that on myself. I don't know. It could be fun for them,
Well,
but
yeah, for some people it
it could
is.
be.
Like we had friends that were like, all they wanted to do was be in DC,
Yeah,
because
go
they
ahead.
just love that. And Tom was like, no, I want to be out in the field. And
Right.
I mean, most of his um duty stations were overseas. I,
Hmm.
I was not with him then, so I didn't get the adventure, but I also didn't get the challenge. I
Right.
um, but I also know people who served 20 some years and literally never served outside of the country,
Yeah.
which is amazing to me. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, especially now during wartime, but I
Right.
mean that would probably nobody now, but people in like the late 70s
Hmm.
through 90s, it was like there were a lot of people that never not just didn't have to, but didn't want to. It's like, why are
Hmm.
you in the military? You
Yeah.
just want to go to a job.
Yeah. Some people just don't want to leave the country. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all right for them, but it does still make you wonder why are you in the military? You could have done that somewhere else. But all right. So Annette, tell everybody out there tell them where they can get your book, the name of it and all that, and your website and everything so that they can get acquainted with you, learn about you so that when you are ready to come back on the world stage, they've already consumed you have a ton of content already out there.
You can go to a wildridecalledlife.com. It is, I am redoing it, but it's still active. So you can go there and find everything.
And your book is amazing.
Thank you.
Is it The Wall Between Two Lives? And
Yes.
I always want to say a wall. I love the cover,
Thank you.
the boots and the high heels. It's a great, great book. So y'all, I highly recommend reading her book, The Wall Between Two Lives, going to her website, A Wild Ride Called Life, and um, listening to all of her podcast episodes. She has a ton of podcast episodes that you can listen to and a ton of blog posts that you can read so that when she is ready to reemerge like a butterfly, um, y'all will be familiar with all of her work and be ready to really reap the benefits of her coming back out.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for this and for your friendship.
Yeah, I love you, Annette, and
Love you.
I'm so glad that we got to talk and catch up and thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience and your wisdom with everybody.
Thank you.
I will see the rest of y'all next week. Bye.